From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. A federal judge has ruled in favor of two Georgia election workers who sued Rudy Giuliani for defamation. Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss sued Giuliani in December 2021. This was for falsely claiming they helped commit election fraud during the 2020 presidential election. The judge found Giuliani failed to comply with discovery requests. That is a process of exchanging information between parties in a lawsuit. The judge ordered Giuliani to pay the workers' attorney's fees and costs. The ruling is a major victory for Freeman and Moss, who have been subjected to harassment and threats since Giuliani's false accusations. It is also a setback for Giuliani, who has been a vocal supporter of former President Donald Trump's claims about the 2020 election. The case is ongoing, and the judge has not yet ruled on the merits of the defamation claim. The White House is urging Americans to get the new COVID-19 booster vaccines when they become available in mid-September. The boosters are designed to protect against the Eris subvariant, which is now the predominant strain of COVID-19 in the U.S. The White House says vaccination remains the safest way to prevent hospitalizations, long-term health problems, and death from COVID-19. It says it is confident the U.S. is prepared for the fall and winter, but is still urging people to get vaccinated and refresh their vaccinations. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, hospitalizations and deaths related to COVID-19 increased by more than 20% each in August. African Americans are the primary victims of racially motivated hate crimes in the U.S. A new report released Tuesday shows Black people were targeted in more than 20% of reported hate crimes in major U.S. cities last year. Of the 42 cities surveyed, more than half saw an increase in hate crimes directed at Black people. Cities such as New York, Los Angeles, Austin, and Sacramento set new records. The report is based on an analysis of police data conducted by the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism at California State University. Several states, including Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, Texas, and Utah, reported unprecedented levels of hate crimes against Black people. This complements a significant nationwide increase of nearly 31% observed in 2021. Lead author of the report, Brian Levin, attributes the rise to several factors. These include online platforms and political rhetoric spreading bigotry, stereotypes, and conspiracy theories. Recently, racially motivated homicides have often been linked to white supremacists and far-right ideologies. The U.S. government says it has dismantled a human smuggling network linked to an individual with ties to ISIS. The network was uncovered through intelligence efforts. The smuggled individuals are not believed to have direct ties to terrorists, but they are subject to additional FBI security screening. Those smuggled into the U.S. are being deported. Individuals involved in the smuggling network are subject to enhanced screening upon entry into the U.S., detention, as well as expedited deportation proceedings. The network focused primarily on smuggling asylum-seeking Uzbek nationals across the U.S.-Mexico border. Turkish authorities have reported operations against an organization that assists people from Uzbekistan, Russia, Chechnya, and Georgia to enter the U.S. Several suspects have been arrested in Turkey in connection with these operations. The group is allegedly affiliated with ISIS. A popular Arab street food restaurant and bakery chain in San Francisco is being accused of refusing to serve police officers who are in uniform or armed with a gun. The San Francisco Police Officers Association claims one of its officers was denied service at Reams, California last weekend. Reams has denied the claim, saying its policy is to keep guns out of its stores to ensure its employees' safety. The restaurant also says that it wants to create a safe space for all of its customers. The SFPOA claims a restaurant employee told the officer he was being denied service because he was in uniform. Reams is not the first Bay Area eatery to come under fire for refusing to serve police. In 2021, the owners of all-day brunch restaurant Hilda and Jesse apologized amid public backlash. This was after 3 uniformed San Francisco police officers were asked to leave. Earlier this year, a cashier at Pizza Squared was fired after he told several police officers they were not welcome at the business. Chef founder Reem Asil is a social justice activist and former community organizer. In 2022, she was a finalist for a James Beard Award for Outstanding Chef. Human Rights Watch warns more Palestinian children will die unless the U.S. pressures Israel to stop its severe abuses against them. In a recent report, the global human rights organization cites incidents in which Palestinian children have died. It also stresses the Israeli forces have targeted their upper bodies without warning. The report claims this trend will continue unless the U.S. and other allies hold Israel accountable. HRW is calling on the U.S., which is providing over $3 billion in military aid to Israel this year, to condition its support on an end to these attacks. The group is also asking the International Criminal Court to speed up its investigation of Israeli war crimes in Palestine. According to its report, Israeli forces have killed at least 34 Palestinian children in the West Bank this year. 79 children, 14 graves unearthed at Canadian boarding school. Details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Ground-penetrating radars have detected 79 possible child and 14 infant graves at the former Beauval Indian Residential School in the Canadian province of Saskatchewan. An Indigenous group began the search 2 years ago based on historical stories about the treatment of students at the school. The institution was operated by a Roman Catholic mission until 1969 and officially closed in 1983. Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission has published survivor accounts of physical and sexual abuse at the school. A former supervisor was found guilty of gross indecency for assaulting boys from 1959 to 1967. The Indigenous group is calling for a full investigation of the graves and the return of the children's remains to their families. The Canadian government has said it will work with the tribe to identify the children and transfer their remains. Canada's residential school system was intended to assimilate Indigenous children into Canadian society. It often resulted in abuse and neglect, for which the Canadian government has apologized. TikTok has prevented the person who burned copies of the Quran in the Swedish capital Stockholm from making profits through its platform. The social media platform disabled the gift feature for users who liked Salwan Momika's videos, preventing him from receiving money for his content. Momika claimed his Quran-burning videos attracted millions of viewers and earned him $100 to $300 per hour during live streams. Leader of the far-right Stramkurs or hardline party Rasmus Paludan also burned copies of the Quran in Sweden and Denmark. The public desecration of the Quran under police protection has led to criticism and global outrage. The Indian government told the Supreme Court on Thursday elections could be held soon in the disputed region of Jammu and Kashmir. The court had asked the government to give a time frame for reviving the democratic process in Jammu and Kashmir and restoring its status as a full-fledged state. On August 5, 2019, the Indian government divided the state into two centrally administered areas and stripped the region of its internal autonomy. The government told the court it was ready for elections but did not give a time frame for the restoration of full statehood. Attorney General Tushar Mehta outlined a three-stage plan for the process before a five-judge panel headed by Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud. It includes elections in village panchayats, followed by local and then legislative assembly elections. The government previously argued the unique circumstances in Jammu and Kashmir necessitated its division into federally administered territories. In the previous session, the Supreme Court stressed the importance of restoring democracy in the region, which hasn't had an elected government since June 2018. The Himalayan state was divided into two centrally governed union territories, now called Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. The Muslim-majority Kashmir region is claimed by both Pakistan and India. Pakistan considers the move illegal and since 2019 has downgraded diplomatic relations and suspended trade with India. Iranian weightlifter Mustafa Rajai has been banned for life for shaking hands with Israeli weightlifter Maxim Svirsky. The incident happened at the 2023 World Weightlifting Championships in Poland. The Iranian Weightlifting Federation says Rajai violated Iran's red lines by shaking hands with an Israeli athlete. Iran does not recognize Israel and does not allow its athletes to participate in international sports competitions or compete against Israeli athletes. This is not the first time an Iranian athlete has been suspended for shaking hands with an Israeli opponent. In the past, Iranian athletes have faked injuries, failed weight tests, or intentionally lost their previous matches to avoid competing against Israelis. Some international sports federations have condemned the ban on Rajai, calling it discriminatory and a violation of the Olympic Charter. The charter prohibits discrimination based on race, religion, gender, or political affiliation. Rajai is a veteran weightlifter who has represented Iran in international competitions. Thousands of protesters in Bangladesh are demanding information about people allegedly abducted by security forces during Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's nearly 15-year tenure. Demonstrators include supporters of the opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party and its allies. They rallied during the commemoration of the International Day of the Victims of Enforced Disappearances on Wednesday. They wore black gags over their mouths to symbolize their demand for answers. The government has denied the allegations of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings. It says some of those reported missing may have drowned while trying to reach Europe via the Mediterranean Sea. Bangladesh is scheduled to hold parliamentary elections in late January. Rights groups and foreign governments have raised concerns about the Hasina government's efforts to suppress criticism and quell political dissent. Human Rights Watch says Bangladesh's security forces have committed more than 600 enforced disappearances since Hasina came to power in 2009. The group reports nearly 100 people remain missing. HRW senior Asia researcher Julia Bleckner criticized Bangladeshi authorities for denying the reality of enforced disappearances. In response to the alleged human rights abuses in Bangladesh, the U.S. sanctioned the elite Rapid Action Battalion and 7 of its senior officers in 2021. Kyrgyzstan has repatriated 95 women and children of fighters from the ISIS terrorist group who were living in internment camps in Syria. On Thursday, the Foreign Ministry announced the safe return of 31 women and 64 children who are citizens of the Kyrgyz Republic. They were brought back to Kyrgyzstan from a camp in northeastern Syria. This is Kyrgyzstan's third repatriation operation. The country repatriated 59 nationals from Iraq in February and 79 from camps in Iraq in March 2021. The Kyrgyz government thanked the U.S. for providing crucial assistance and logistical support for the repatriation operation. Thousands of people from Central Asian countries, including Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan, had joined various foreign fighting groups between 2013 and 2015. Thousands of fighters from ISIS and their families remain in detention centers and informal camps where the conditions are dire. U.S. commanders have warned these conditions could lead to a resurgence of the terrorist group. Yet most foreign governments are reluctant to allow larger numbers to return for security reasons. Human Rights Watch says conditions for children in camps such as Al-Hol and Ruj are life-threatening. A massive fire in a 5-story building in Johannesburg, South Africa's central business district claimed 63 lives and injured 43. The fire broke out around 1:30 a.m. local time. City officials evacuated people from the building and began firefighting efforts. There was an informal settlement on each building floor, which complicated the evacuation. Rescue efforts are ongoing, and it is feared the death toll could rise. The youngest victim was a toddler. Witnesses reported up to 200 people were squatting in the abandoned building. The South African Police Service will investigate once rescue efforts are complete. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.